I approach my drafting station, adjusting the letter spacing on Mason and Brooks' third-time engagement invites. The afternoon light fills my workstation and highlights the shiny copper highlights I included into the design. Perfect. Not quite flawless, but almost perfect. My brother is entitled nothing less. My phone dances dangerously near to my coffee cup on the wood countertop. Mason's name brightens the screen and makes me start to grin reflexively. Parties weekend here. The guest list is really small, I hope you understand. My hands stop midway in adjustment. I once again read the message. Sure, I misinterpreted. The delicate brush pen falls from my hands and leaves an unsightly stripe on the sample invitation. What? I muffle to my empty flat. My coffee cup tips as I go for my phone, the black liquid slinking into my drawings. I seldom pay attention. Rather, my gaze is fixed on the framed picture next to my desk. Mason smiling in his uniform, 3 big care packages I had spent weeks gathering just close by. I stayed up all night packing so they would meet the military mail deadline. Though I had to work a deadline the following morning, the ones I would have put his favorite handmade cookies in. The care packages he would have considered a lifeline during his deployment. My hands shake when I call my father, Mono. After 4 rings, preoccupied and somewhat upset, Dad's voice comes through. Everything's good? Mason just contacted me about some party this weekend for his engagement. Dad. My voice seems more consistent than what I feel. There has to be some ambiguity. Silence came first, then a moan. This is just a get-together, Monroe. Not official at all. Though I'm his sister, I place my fingers to the bridge of my nose. All week I have been working on their real invitation designs. Look, honey, Dad's tone changes to the contemptuous one I too well know. At Brooks' parents' lake property, it's a minor detail. Please not make this a thing. You know how your brother reacts when everyone begins demanding? When I demand anything, the unsaid accusation sits between us. Right, I manage. My throat closes. Of course, before he hears my voice cracking, I hold back. Now as I focus on my unpaid design labor hours for a brother who cannot even be bothered to ask me to his pre-wedding party, the afternoon light seems cooler. 6 months ago, comes to me in glimpses, 3 in AM. Anxious because his bank card had been hacked, Mason called from Germany. I recall quickly moving $2,000 from my well-kept funds. Emergency funds he still owes not returned. I consider the 3 nights I spent creating their engagement announcement when Brooke decided she simply wasn't feeling the professional one they had paid for. How I had skipped Diane's birthday supper in order to complete it before their deadline. The 18 months of his deployment, during which I sent a care package every single month. Twice a week I checked in with Mom and Dad. When I assisted Brooke in settling into their apartment so it would be ready for his homecoming, once more pings on my phone. Tara, cousin of mine, just arrived with the Evite for MB's party. This weekend, you are heading to the lake? My abdomen turns. Evile? I murmur. What Evite? I type backwards. 3 dots, show, fade, then show once more. Following that. Oh, rather embarrassing. Thought you would show up. It is at Henderson's lake home. Looks as if the entire team is headed. She should send it to me, I beg. One asked for a request that arrived in my email with awkward delay. The screen hums with a pleasant nautical pattern. Come see us for a lakefront engagement party. The particulars swirl before my eyes, but one thing stands out rather clearly. There is no personal gathering here. The attendees count. 120 plus. I flip through names and see Brooks' high school pals, distant relatives, Mason's work colleagues. Everyone but me appears to be. Dad once again hears my phone ringing. Before I could reply, Monroe, your brother, adds, has his reasons. Perhaps he thought you would find great discomfort among so many people. You know how you come. How I find it? My voice sounds just above a whisper. Just accept his choice. That is all I am asking. I sit still once we hang up, looking at my bank account on a laptop screen. Years of deliberate saving. Years of putting family responsibilities before own aspirations. My mouse floats over the Aspen Ski Resort book, now button that I had dreamt about for years, the one I have postponed seeing because I more urgently needed something more vital. Not these days. I press books right now. Ticket for first class, Mountains View Suite. 6 days stayed. I get a picture of my passport next to my aircraft ticket confirmation as the confirming email shows up. I steady fingers and post it on Instagram. When you're not on the list, you create your own. The first-class compartment encircles me with a peaceful comfort I have never let myself indulge. As I drink complimentary champagne, soft leather cradles my shoulders, the bubbles playing on my tongue. Stronger than the wine in my palm is a weird mix of shame and excitement flooding my system. Still another. The flight attendant gestures to my almost empty drink. Indeed, the term comes readily to me, without the well-known mental computation of whether I merit the luxury. I appreciate it. The rent for my flat for a month would not pay this one trip, while 6 years of emergency savings lie unaltered in my account. Emergency money that was always on hand for Mason's needs. The seatbelt sign rings, and I inhale more deeply than I have in years. My flat seems like a storage closet from the Aspen Lodge's Mountain View Suite. Snow-capped peaks drenched in alpenglow surround floor-to-ceiling windows that transform the snowy slopes to pink gold. 4 of me would fit the king's bed. Marble. I have only seen in design publications glows in the bathroom. I scarcely see the lady gazing back as I stand before the mirror. Her eyes reflect a ferocity not seen before. Part dread, half defiance. Your name as I speak softly to my mirror. In 1 hour, my phone vibrates against the nightstand 12 times. Dad's name lights on the screen, then vanishes when I turn it off. Mom's text, along with 3 from Mason and 1 from Brooke, already waits unopened. I down the phone face without looking at the messages. Whatever family fire has to be extinguished will have to locate another bucket. They mentioned what? Tara's face fills my tablet screen the following morning, and I hold my coffee cup closer. The breakfast nook of the lodge provides seclusion for video conferences that would be difficult at the packed shared tables. I expected not to hear it. Tara's voice fades. Brooke was in the toilet chatting to her sister. She remarked, and I quote, "We just assumed Monroe would sour the atmosphere." Then something about how you always take things so seriously and turn it into a major event. On my tongue, the coffee tastes unpleasant. Change the vibe. Mason left no defense for you. Tara keeps on, eyes darting away from the camera. He just nodded along. My phone ding with a mom text. "I'm sorry about all this, dear. However, you know how your father and brother treat when they have decided. I suppose you will understand." Tara pauses, then says, "This isn't the first time. Remember Mason's homecoming party and Thanksgiving at Uncle Pete's last year? And about them." But jigsaw pieces snap together, even as I ask. The last-minute sight changes. The ambiguous invites, the startled glances when I arrived. For many years, Monroe, they have been doing this. I knew you knew. The awareness sits in my gut like a stone. For years, my own family has deliberately excluded me. May, you changed, for once, advocating for yourself. As I get ready for my first skill course, May's raspy voice fills my voicemail speaker. I had lived too long to see this stupidity. When you are ready to chat, just phone me. Love every moment of that mountain air till then. I tuck the phone into my pocket and grin, not the kind of smile I was hoping for today. First time on the hill slopes, Kai, my teacher, uses experienced hands to change my boot bindings. His old face shows decades of laugh wrinkles and a constant squint from years under snow glare. First of all, I acknowledge I'm doing everything just for myself. He nods, understanding considerably more than I have said. Then get yourself some decent company. By afternoon, I had joined a group of single visitors staying at the lodger retired teacher from Vermont, spending his birthday as a widower, a young lady running from a split-off relationship. They welcome me without probing family or obligation queries. As naturally as if we had known one another for years, we tell tales over hot chocolate. My pocket still shows silence on my phone. I forget it exists completely for stretches. The slope of the novice is not much more than a little hill, but when I negotiate it without falling, success floods over me. My laughter pours out as mist clouds in the alpine air. The chilly air hurts my cheeks. My body recalls how to lean into gravity instead of oppose it, how to move without thinking. Not horrible on the first day. Kai yells from behind me. I devote my life to simplify matters for everyone else. It is ironic that I am at last learning to treat myself the same way. The large lounge of the lodger hums with a prisky vitality. A stone fireplace radiates heat and light over cozy sitting groups, where fresh connections develop. I curl into a leather recliner and sip a cup of spiced cider while listening to Sophia's account of swimming with dolphins in Hawaii last summer. Warming hands. My phone hasn't vibrated in hours, I realize with a shock. Pulling it from my jacket, I find merely a peculiar detachment instead of the usual surge of anxiety. 15 missed calls and 32 unread messages. They are negotiating whatever situation they are facing without me. And they are still living. So am I as well. I grab a picture of the amazing mountain sunset seen through the windows. As the laughing-filled debate around me increases, I steady fingers and publish it on Instagram. Good morning to a fresh start. Have you ever had to separate from family responsibilities in order to fully find yourself? If you have ever had to make the tough decision between allegiance to yourself and to others, leave a comment below. As I lift my mulled wine and silently toast to myself in the lodger's timber-framed parlor, the fireplace buzzes. 3 days into my Aspen trip, the tightness between my shoulder blades has at last started to relax. Years of living between them. My phone buzzes once more, after first buzzing against the polished wood side table. Again. Curiosity wins when it vibrates 6 times under a minute. I swallow my drink and grab the gadget. There were 17 alerts, all from Tara. Condensed sauce. There is a full breakdown underway. Tell me right now. I hesitate, fingers flying across the screen. Part of me wants to quiet it. Keep the delicate tranquility I have discovered intact. But another piece, the one spent 3 decades, seeing my family's anarchy from the front row, is of interest. I slide outdoors onto the empty terrace where the bright lights of the resort shine from pure snow. Tara responds on the first ring, party sounds bursting from the speaker. Monroe, you are missing drama. Oh my goodness. Her voice exudes happiness, mixed with dread. You know, Mason's been flirting with Kelly Winters, his former high school lover, for the previous hour, right in front of Brooke. Just what? In the alpine air, the word creates an obvious cloud. It began with remembering, then on to the arm, caressing, and now they are gathered by the bar, laughing, like the only two people here. I lay my fingertips on my temple. Brooke just tossed her champagne in his face, the whole glass, then rushed out yelling that the engagement is off. Still, my stomach becomes tight, in spite of everything. Old patterns start to arise, my mind already figuring out how to correct this. With what words might problems be settled? How may the party be saved? Then it comes to me. I wasn't worthy of invitation. Not even the worst of things, Tara says. Mason exited and then punched the wall, quite sure he shattered something in his hand. In front of everyone, your dad lost Ethan. Mason entered into a yelling contest. The management threatened to close the whole place when the bartender cut them both off. I can see Mason red-faced and aggressive, exactly. Dad's damage control that only damages is aggravating everything. Mom pretending nothing is occurring while wringing her hands in the corner. Tara says, speaking softly, Grandma May is the real MVP. She stated, I'm quoting literally, as she stepped straight up to Mason, looked him dead in the eye. Cutting off the one responsible adult in your life results in this. The room became quiet all around. Something odd surges up from my chest, between a chuckle and a tear. For 32 years, I have been the invisible support beam, the emergency contact, the 3am issue solution, the dependable one standing by for every crisis. Except in this case, I'm not. I ought to go, I say at last. I registered for a moonlight snowshoe walk. What exactly? Monroe, did you listen to what I said? Brooke just departed carrying her bridesmaids. Your brother is unraveling. Everyone is seeking you. I say only that I informed them on Instagram 3 days ago. They already know where I am. I cut off the call and totally quiet my phone. 10 minutes later, I'm working through Perfect Powder with 6 strangers and a man called Ethan. Except for our breathing and the gentle compression of snow under our snowshoes, the woodland surrounding us is still. First time I remember from introductions, the lady next to me, Catherine from Toronto, asking, regarding everything, I confess. First time snowshoeing, first time in Aspen, first time putting myself over family conflict. She chuckles, a real sound resonant amid the trees. The toughest is the final one. As we rise, my breath comes in obvious puffs, and the physical effort burns my calves. Every stride uses careful lift, place, push. There is no place for family tension when your attention is on avoiding running face first into a snowbank. Ethan stops our group in a clearing halfway up. The valley opens out below us like fallen stars, flickering. Above, on the black canvas of darkness, the moon hangs full and very brilliantly. Think for a minute, he adds silently. Sometimes we forget to glance around when we get rather concentrated on the ascent. At his words, something inside me opens up. Maybe a little unplanned chuckle here, my first real one in years. Catherine grins next to me, and 2 other hikers join in. Our laughing rises like steam into the night sky. I have nothing to do with straightening their mess. The idea comes to me with such clarity that I stop breathing. Over all these years, I have been the emotional support beam and damage control professional. Perhaps, however, my absence is just what they need. 3 hours later, muscles from the climb delightfully hurting. I go back to my room and flip on my phone. The warnings fall like an avalanche. 14 books from Mason, rising from furious. Where the heck are you? To accusing. This wouldn't have happened if you were there. To desperate. Please call. Everything is a mess. Dad missed 8 calls, then sent a text that causes my jaw to tighten. We needed you. When it counted most, you turned away your family. Mom has 3 teary voicemails, each ending with her distinctive sentence. Kind of avoid making this a thing, honey. One lesson Brooke sent 30 minutes ago. I am in need of aid. Mason's mess. Could you gently prod him towards sense? My thumb moves over Mason's message, muscle habit almost ruling. I think about what I've always done, step in, smooth things over, absorb the guilt, mend the unfixable for a heartbeat. Rather, I go through my contacts. I come over Mason's name and hit block contact. The screen probes me, to be sure. Nothing else I have ever been more confident about. I block Dad, then Mom, then Brooke. Every tap feels like a heavy weight I had carried for so long. I forgot it wasn't mine. I forward the front desk call. Hi there, this is room 342. Would you kindly let me remain 4 more days? Later, I snap a photo near the fireplace, the warm warmth from the flames on my face. I never have looked more peacefully. I upload it with a caption that would have been inconceivable just a few days ago. 0 regrets. Perfect serenity. Then I turn off my phone, set it on the nightstand, and for the first time in my adult life, I sleep without waiting for it to ring. I'm halfway down Silverado, a blue run that would have scared me a week ago when my phone pings across my thigh. For a glorious minute, I ponder ignoring it, like the 14 previous calls I've let go to voicemail. But something, that old familiar feeling of obligation, has me halt my descent and pull to the side of the track. The name Grandma May brightens my screen. She merits a response, unlike the others. Monroe. Her voice crackles with a combination of relief and anxiety. They're losing their heads trying to contact you. I see a father and daughter glide by, their laughter floating on the cold mountain air. I needed some room. Space? She snorts. Your brother has left 17 voicemails, beginning with, "How could you do this to me?" and has worked his way to satisfy, "I need you." Her voice softens. Your father even sent an apologetic SMS. Your mother created him, of course, but still. I shut my eyes, letting the sun touch my face. And Brooke. Her sister came up at your residence yesterday. Thought you could be hiding out. Grandma's chuckle is piercing and knowing. Found nothing except your neighbor watering your plants. I asked Diane to check on them. I mumble, watching a snow bunny jump between pine trees. Where are you, honey? I smile, for the first time in days. A genuine grin that finds my eyes. Somewhere years ago I ought to have gone. Perfect shape. Victor, my ski instructor, yells as I handle the last turn. 3 days earlier, he'd carefully pulled me up after innumerable falls on the bunny hill. Today, I'm carving confident, turns down a run properly titled Freedom. See you at the lodge for a brisky? He asks as we approach the bottom. Wouldn't miss it, I say, startling myself with how fast I've fallen into this new pattern. The lodge workers know me now, Emma, at the front desk. Saves me the morning paper. Paolo recalls my coffee order, and Jeanette, the concierge, stops me with ideas for dining venues. Monroe. Jeanette waves as I enter the lobby. The Hendersons wondered whether you'd join them tonight. They're holding a family supper at their cabin and thought you may like a home-cooked meal. I stop, bewildered by the offer briefly. Retired couple I spoke with on a snowshoe trip. The Hendersons have no responsibility to me. They want nothing fixed, planned, or solved. They just delighted in my presence. I would love to, I respond, and the simplicity of the conversation almost makes me cry. I examine the leather-bound diary I bought in the gift store later in my room. I turn past days of writings and see my handwriting change from wobbly and hesitant to strong and flowing. Arrived shattered on day 1. I wondered if I had made a huge mistake. Day 5. Skied my first blue run today. Fell twice. Got up twice. No one appeared disappointed in me. Day 7, I recognize my reflection again. I push my pen to a new page. Day 8, The arriving lady is not the one leaving. From across her sunlit office in the wellness center of the resort, Dr. Winters observes me. She responds, "You have consciously decided to withdraw. It isn't a matter of inquiry." I nod and flip over my quiet phone in my palms. 67 alerts. I haven't opened a single one. "Tell me about your family," she offers, the unadulterated version. And I do. The words pour out, like spring run of 18 months of care packages during Mason's deployment, the money I'd transferred without hesitation, the invitations I'd designed without compensation, the birthdays I'd missed to meet their demands, the savings account I've depleted solving their emergencies. Going back to such behaviors would be self-destruction, I decide, astonished by my own confidence. Dr. Winters nods. And yet, they're recognizing what they've lost. Are they? I inquire, not totally persuaded. People seldom change until the agony of remaining the same outweighs the anguish of changing. She says, "Your absence has swayed that balance." A fresh message from Tara emerges as I sit by the stone hearth with a book. "Grandma May's moved into your folks' guest room. Says she's putting things straight. Dad almost had an aneurysm." I chuckle, envisioning my grandmother's take-no-prisoners style. Not far behind is another message. "Mason acknowledged to your dad that they've taken you for granted." Dad agreed too. I almost fell off my chair. Brooke sends a video message before I could reply. I hesitate, then start to play. Her face emerges, eyes red and swollen. "Monroe," is her voice breaks as she starts. "I have behaved so badly to you. Not just about the celebrations spanning months. Years, actually." She wipes her eyes with the back of her palm. No careful makeup, no prepared speech. "I don't know why you'd forgive me, but I hope you'll let me attempt to make it right." I laid my phone down, emotions churning. As I reach for my wine glass, the front desk phones. "Miss Taylor, you have delivery here." Downstream, the clerk gives me a cream-colored envelope with clearly Mason's handwriting. I run my finger across my name, printed with exceptional care. Inside starts on a single page, though I must strive. I do not deserve pardon. Standing still in the great lobby, snow gently falling outside the windows, I ponder how long the road back to forgiveness should take, and if instantaneous reconciliation would either heal or damage us both. I fold my final sweater, the cream cashmere I pampered myself to at the Lodge Boutique Nantucket, into my luggage. 9 days earlier, I put clothing into the same suitcase, with shaky hands and tear-blurred eyes. Today, my moves are measured, deliberate. The lady who escaped here scarcely resembles the one about to return. My phone buzzes. "Dad, again, just checking what time we should pick you up tomorrow," his text says. I write my answer without hesitation. No need. I've secured a rental vehicle. 3 dots emerge. Disappear, then. Seems superfluous. "We don't mind." "I do," I respond, then stop my alerts. Control starts with little choices. The rented automobile, the neutral meeting venue, the rules of re-engagement, following what they're all calling your brief breakdown. As if standing up for myself could only be explained by mental instability. From my balcony, I take one final glance at the mountains that watched my change. Tomorrow, I'll meet my family at Meridian Coffee Shop Not, our kitchen table, where I've swallowed critiques with Sunday pancakes for 3 decades. "Thank you," I mumble to the peaks silhouetted against the dusk sky. I glimpse them through Meridian's window before entering Dad, checking his watch, Mom anxiously stirring her tea, Mason putting his arm over Brooke, who's browsing through her phone. Their picture of frustration so familiar, it nearly draws me back into old routines. I straighten my shoulders and push open the door. Monroe. Mom notices me first, half rising with her apprehensive grin. We reserved you your favorite corner place. I sit into the unoccupied chair, placing down my leather portfolio with meticulous care. The weight of it grounds me. You look different, Mason replies, peering slightly. Skiing agrees with me, I replied, establishing eye contact with the barista instead of my brother. Well, Dad clears his throat, taking command as anticipated. Let's just put this horrible thing behind us. Your mother's been beyond herself, and Mason and Brooke need assistance preparing the postponed engagement party. Brooke nods excitedly. We're contemplating the first weekend in April. I've already produced a spreadsheet of chores. I've marked yours in yellow. My mother reaches across the table, her fingers quivering slightly as they cover mine. Sweetheart, please. The family has to remain together, particularly with all that's transpired. I softly withdraw my hand from behind hers and open my portfolio. Before we go on, we need to acknowledge what occurred. Monroe, Dad cautions, mired in unhappiness. I'm not moping about this. I intervene, my voice soft yet forceful. I'm building context. I pull a piece of paper from my portfolio. On the 16th of February last year, Mason phoned at 3 a.m. from Germany because his bank card was hacked. I deposited $2,000 from my emergency fund within 10 minutes. I stare straight at my brother. That debt remains unpaid. Mason shifts uneasily. I've been meaning to. Last September, I continue. I skipped Diane's birthday dinner to complete your engagement announcement since Brooke wasn't feeling the professional design you'd previously paid for. I set my phone on the table screen up, and here are the messages from Dad urging me to not make this an issue after I was excluded from a 120-person engagement party. Silence comes over our table, weighty and alien. My family glances at me as if I've suddenly begun speaking a different language. I'm not here to accuse, I reply, folding my hands on the table. I'm here to create limits. Dad's face reddens. Now look here. No, Jack. Mom interjects with uncommon severity. Let her talk. I pick out another piece of paper and set it near the first. This is what I need from every one of you going ahead. They lean forward, almost in unison, eyes perusing the written list. 1. Respect of my time, work, and efforts. The second is 2 weeks minimum, advance notice for family occasions. In 3, 6 months for delinquent debt repayment. 3. There is no free design work family discount of 25% just. 5. Respect of my no without manipulation or guilt trips. If these limits are violated, I proceed. I will minimize contact till the conduct changes. I've learnt that love without respect isn't sustainable, and if we resist this ultimatum, Dad's voice wavers between rage and astonishment, then you'll be making a decision about what type of connection you want with me. I tidy the papers with firm hands, and I'll respect your decision by making my own. Mason wipes an unexpected tear. Monroe, I didn't realize. I know, I say, softening slightly. That explains part of the issue. Mom says cautiously, looking at Dad. They seem plausible. Brooke's eyebrows, flawlessly formed, arch high. You are not then assisting with the wedding planning, following everything that has gone on? I reply, helping within these guidelines. But there is another as well. I have a 6-month design contract signed in Colorado. I start next month. You're heading out? Dad's fist, bang on the table, shakes our glasses. That is exactly what I mean. I'm chasing an opportunity. I correct him, just as you always encouraged Mason to do. Dad opens his lips, shuts it, then slumps back in his chair. Mason lunges forward.